Hedy Lamarr. Hedy Lamarr was more than just a face that graced the silver screen in the 1930s and 1940s. Born Hedwig Kiesler in Austria, her Jewish heritage was a secret she carefully guarded during a time when anti-Semitism was rampant in Europe and Hollywood alike. Her escape from Austria in the late 1930s was nothing short of cinematic. Married to a controlling arms dealer with ties to the Nazi regime, she fled their home by disguising herself as a maid. Once in Hollywood, she became a star, but her true genius lay far beyond her beauty. During World War II, she co-invented a frequency-hopping communication system designed to prevent enemy interception of Allied torpedoes. This technology, dismissed by the military at the time, would later become the foundation for modern Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Despite her groundbreaking contributions, Hedy was never recognized for her invention during her lifetime. Instead, she was often dismissed as just another glamorous actress, a perception that haunted her. Her story is a stark reminder of how brilliance can be overshadowed by superficiality, and how the world often fails to see the depth behind the surface. Josephine Baker. Josephine Baker's journey from poverty in St. Louis to international stardom in Paris is a tale of defiance and reinvention. Born in the early 1900s to African-American parents, she grew up in a racially segregated America, where opportunities for black performers were scarce. Moving to France in the 1920s, she found freedom and fame, becoming a sensation for her daring performances and unique style. But her life was far more complex than her stage persona. During World War II, Josephine became a spy for the French resistance, using her celebrity status to smuggle information across borders. She hid secret messages in her sheet music and even on her body, risking her life for the Allied cause. After the war, she adopted 12 children from different ethnic backgrounds, calling them her Rainbow Tribe, in an effort to promote racial harmony. Yet behind her public image of strength and resilience, Josephine faced personal struggles, including financial difficulties and the challenges of being a black woman in a world that often sought to diminish her. Her life was a testament to courage, creativity, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Meryl Oberon. Meryl Oberon's rise to fame in the 1930s was built on a carefully constructed lie. Born in Bombay, India, to a mother of mixed Indian and Maori descent and a British father, Meryl's heritage was a secret she worked tirelessly to conceal. In an era when racial prejudice was deeply ingrained in Hollywood, her mixed-race background would have ended her career before it began. To pass as white, she fabricated a backstory, claiming she was born in Tasmania to British parents. Painful skin-lightening treatments and a carefully curated public image helped her maintain the illusion. Her breakout role in the private life of Henry VIII catapulted her to stardom, but the truth of her origins haunted her. Even as she became one of Hollywood's most glamorous stars, she lived in constant fear of being exposed. Her story is a chilling reminder of the lengths to which actors of color had to go to survive in an industry that demanded conformity to rigid racial standards. Meryl's life was a balancing act between fame and the erasure of her true identity, a duality that defined her until her death. Anna May Wong. Anna May Wong was the first Chinese-American movie star, but her journey to fame was fraught with obstacles that revealed the deep-seated racism of early Hollywood. Born in Los Angeles in the early 1900s to Chinese immigrant parents, Anna grew up in Chinatown, dreaming of a career in film. By the 1920s, she had become a star, but her roles were often limited to stereotypes of exotic temptresses or submissive women. Despite her talent, she was denied leading roles in major films, including The Good Earth in the 1930s, where the part of a Chinese farmer's wife was given to a white actress in yellowface. Frustrated by the lack of opportunities in Hollywood, Anna moved to Europe, where she found greater respect for her craft. She returned to the US in the 1940s, but the roles offered to her remained limited. Anna's life was a constant battle against the barriers of race and gender, and her story is a powerful reminder of the systemic discrimination faced by actors of color in Hollywood's golden age. Her legacy endures as a trailblazer who paved the way for future generations of Asian American performers. Dorothy Dandridge. Dorothy Dandridge's life was a masterclass in breaking barriers while navigating a world that seemed determined to hold her back. Born in Cleveland, Ohio, in the early 1920s, Dorothy was the daughter of African-American parents, with possible Native American ancestry woven into her family's history. Her rise to fame was meteoric, becoming the first black actress to be nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress for her role in Carmen Jones. Yet her success came at a steep cost. Hollywood's racial prejudice meant she was often typecast in roles that emphasized her beauty but ignored her depth as an actress. Behind the glamour, Dorothy faced relentless challenges. Studios refused to cast her in leading roles opposite white actors, fearing backlash from audiences. Her personal life was equally turbulent, marked by financial struggles and the emotional toll of caring for her daughter, Harolyn, who was born with severe developmental challenges. Dorothy's story is one of triumph and tragedy, a stark reminder of the systemic barriers faced by black performers in Hollywood's golden age. Her legacy endures as a symbol of resilience and talent in the face of overwhelming odds. Marlene Dietrich. Marlene Dietrich was a woman who defied convention at every turn. Born in Berlin, Germany in the early 1900s, she came from a family with ties to Prussian aristocracy. Her rise to fame began with The Blue Angel, a film that catapulted her to international stardom. But her story took a dramatic turn during World War II. Marlene, who had emigrated to the United States, became one of the most vocal opponents of the Nazi regime. Adolf Hitler himself reportedly invited her to return to Germany and make propaganda films, an offer she flatly refused. Instead, she became a U.S. citizen and used her fame to support the Allied forces, performing for troops on the front lines and raising war bonds. Her decision to renounce her homeland came at a personal cost. She was labeled a traitor in Germany, a stigma that followed her for the rest of her life. Marlene's personal life was equally unconventional. She was known for her relationships with both men and women, challenging societal norms long before it was acceptable. Her life was a bold statement of independence, courage, and unwavering principles in a world that demanded conformity. Anthony Quinn. Anthony Quinn's life was a tapestry of cultures and contradictions. Born in Chihuahua, Mexico in the early 1900s, he was the son of a Mexican mother and an Irish-Mexican father who fought in the Mexican Revolution. This rich heritage shaped his identity and his career. Anthony's early life was marked by hardship. His family moved to the United States, where he worked as a laborer and boxer before finding his way to acting. His ambiguous appearance allowed him to play a wide range of ethnic roles, from Greek to Arab to Native American, but it also meant he was often typecast as the exotic other. Despite this, Anthony became a two-time Academy Award winner, earning critical acclaim for his roles in Viva Zapata and Lust for Life. Yet his personal life was as dramatic as his on-screen performances. He fathered 13 children and had a reputation for being as passionate off-screen as he was on it. Anthony's story is one of resilience and adaptability, a testament to how a man of mixed heritage carved out a place for himself in an industry that often sought to define him by his differences. Bela Lugosi. Bela Lugosi's life was as haunting as the characters he portrayed. Born Bela Ferenc de Zablasco in Lugos, Hungary in the late 1800s, he came from a middle-class family with aspirations of nobility. His early career in Hungary was marked by success on the stage, but political unrest forced him to flee to the United States in the 1920s. It was in Hollywood that Bela found his most iconic role as Count Dracula in the 1931 film Dracula. The role made him a star, but it also became a curse. Bela was typecast as a horror villain, and his career never fully recovered. Behind the scenes, his life was a series of struggles. He battled chronic pain from injuries sustained during World War I and became dependent on medication to cope. Financial troubles plagued him, and he spent his later years taking on low-budget roles to make ends meet. Bela's story is a tragic reflection of how Hollywood can elevate and discard its stars. Despite his hardships, his legacy as the definitive Dracula endures, a testament to his talent and the indelible mark he left on cinema. Vivien Leigh. Vivien Leigh's life was a paradox of beauty and turmoil. Born in British India in the early 1900s, she was the daughter of a British father and a mother of Irish and Armenian descent. This multicultural heritage was rarely discussed, as Vivien's public image was carefully curated to fit the mold of a quintessential English rose. Her role as Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind cemented her as one of the greatest actresses of her time, but her personal life was far from the perfection she portrayed on screen. Vivien struggled with severe mental health challenges, later identified as bipolar disorder, which caused erratic behavior and strained her relationships, including her marriage to Laurence Olivier. Few knew that behind her radiant performances she was battling an invisible war within herself. Her health further deteriorated due to tuberculosis, a condition she fought for years before it claimed her life in the 1960s. Vivien's story is one of brilliance and fragility, a reminder of how the pressures of fame and personal struggles can coexist in the life of a star. Her legacy endures as a symbol of both artistic excellence and the human cost of stardom. Sesshu Hayakawa. Sesshu Hayakawa was a trailblazer who shattered stereotypes in an industry that often sought to confine him. Born in Japan in the late 1800s to a family of samurai lineage, Sesshui's early life was marked by discipline and tradition. He initially planned to join the Japanese Navy, but a near-fatal injury derailed his ambitions and set him on a path to acting. By the 1910s, he had become one of Hollywood's first Asian stars, achieving fame with his role in The Cheat. Sechui's smoldering on-screen presence made him a heartthrob, rivaling the likes of Rudolph Valentino. However, his success came with a price. Hollywood's racial prejudice meant he was often typecast as the exotic villain or forbidden lover, roles that both elevated and limited him. Frustrated by these constraints, Sechui left Hollywood in the 1920s and found greater creative freedom in Europe and Japan. He later returned to Hollywood in the 1950s, earning an Academy Award nomination for The Bridge on the River Kwai. Sechui's story is one of resilience and reinvention, a testament to his ability to navigate an industry that often failed to see him as more than a stereotype. Lupe Velez. Lupe Velez was a force of nature, both on and off the screen. Born in San Luis Potosí, Mexico in the early 1900s, she came from a wealthy family that lost much of their fortune during the Mexican Revolution. Determined to succeed, Lupe moved to the United States and quickly became one of the first Mexican actresses to achieve stardom in Hollywood. Known as the Mexican Spitfire, she captivated audiences with her fiery personality and comedic timing in films like The Girl from Mexico. Yet, her life was far more complex than her public persona suggested. Lupe faced constant pressure to conform to Hollywood's expectations, often being cast in roles that emphasized her exotic appeal. Her personal life was equally dramatic, marked by the high-profile relationships and emotional struggles. Despite her success, Lupe often felt isolated in an industry that valued her for her looks and charisma, but rarely for her depth as an actress. Her untimely death in the 1940s shocked the world, leaving behind a legacy as a trailblazer for Latinx performers. Lupe's story is a vivid reminder of the challenges faced by women of color in early Hollywood. Montgomery Clift. Montgomery Clift was the embodiment of vulnerability and intensity both on and off the screen. Born in the early 1920s to a wealthy Southern family with aristocratic roots, his privileged upbringing masked the emotional complexities that would define his life. Montgomery's career took off in the 1940s, with critically acclaimed performances in films like A Place in the Sun and From Here to Eternity. He was one of the first actors to embrace method acting, bringing a raw emotional depth to his roles that captivated audiences. Yet his personal life was a stark contrast to his professional success. Montgomery lived as a closeted gay man in an era when such truths could destroy a career. This secrecy, combined with the pressures of fame, took a toll on his mental health. A devastating car accident in the mid-1950s left him physically scarred and in chronic pain, which led to a reliance on medication and alcohol. Despite these challenges, Montgomery continued to deliver powerful performances, though his health steadily declined. His story is one of brilliance and tragedy, a poignant reflection of the sacrifices made by those who dared to live authentically in a world that demanded conformity. Paulette Goddard. Paulette Goddard's life was a carefully constructed mystery, with her origins shrouded in ambiguity. Born in the early 1900s, her real name was Marion Levy, and her father was Jewish, while her mother had English and German ancestry. Paulette's early years were marked by instability, as her parents' marriage dissolved, and she was raised primarily by her mother. To escape her tumultuous childhood, Paulette reinvented herself, adopting a new name and a glamorous persona. Her rise to fame began as a Ziegfeld girl, but it was her relationship with Charlie Chaplin that catapulted her into the spotlight. She starred alongside him in Modern Times, a role that solidified her as a leading lady of the 1930s and 1940s. Despite her success, Paulette's career was often overshadowed by her personal life. Her marriage to Chaplin ended in controversy, and her later relationships with powerful men, including writer Erich Maria Remarque, fueled speculation about her private life. Paulette's story is one of reinvention and resilience, a testament to how she navigated the complexities of Hollywood while keeping much of her true self hidden from the public eye. Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitier's journey to becoming a Hollywood icon was nothing short of extraordinary. Born in the early 1920s in Miami, Florida, to Bahamian parents, Sidney's early life was spent on Cat Island in the Bahamas, where his family lived in poverty. He moved to the United States as a teenager, facing the harsh realities of racism and limited opportunities. Determined to succeed, Sidney taught himself to read and worked tirelessly to refine his craft as an actor. By the 1950s, he had become the first black actor to achieve leading man status in Hollywood, breaking barriers with films like The Defiant Ones and Lilies of the Field, for which he became the first black man to win an Academy Award for Best Actor. Yet his success came with immense pressure. Sidney was often cast in roles that portrayed him as a symbol of moral perfection, a burden that reflected the limited opportunities for black actors at the time. Behind the scenes, he faced criticism from both white and black audiences, the former for challenging racial norms, and the latter for being seen as too accommodating to Hollywood's expectations. Sidney's legacy is one of groundbreaking achievement and quiet defiance, a man who reshaped the industry while carrying the weight of representation on his shoulders. Greta Garbo. Greta Garbo's life was a study in contrasts, a global superstar who craved anonymity, a woman of mystery whose origins were humble and unassuming. Born in Stockholm, Sweden, in the early 1900s, Greta was the daughter of working-class parents. Her father's early death forced her to leave school and work in a department store, where her striking beauty caught the attention of a film director. By the 1920s, she had become one of Hollywood's most enigmatic stars, known for her roles in films like Anna Karenina and Camille. Greta's Swedish heritage was central to her identity, but she rarely spoke of her past, preferring to cultivate an air of mystique. Her decision to retire from acting in the early 1940s, at the height of her fame, shocked the world. She retreated into a life of seclusion, refusing interviews and avoiding public appearance. Greta's story is one of deliberate self-erasure, a woman who chose to walk away from the spotlight rather than be consumed by it. Her legacy endures as a symbol of timeless beauty and the power of silence in an industry that thrives on exposure. Rita Hayworth. Rita Hayworth was the ultimate Hollywood transformation, a star who reinvented herself to fit the industry's rigid standards. Born Margarita Carmen Cancino in New York City in the early 1900s, she was the daughter of a Spanish flamenco dancer and an Irish-American mother. Her father's Spanish heritage was central to her early identity, and she began her career as a dancer in her family's act. However, Hollywood's obsession with conformity led to a complete reinvention. Studio executives lightened her hair, raised her hairline through painful electrolysis, and encouraged her to adopt the more American name Rita Hayworth. This transformation turned her into one of the most glamorous stars of the 1940s, with iconic roles in films like Gilda. Yet behind the scenes, Rita struggled with the loss of her cultural identity and the pressures of fame. Her personal life was marked by tumultuous relationships, including a marriage to Prince Ali Khan, which made her the first Hollywood actress to become a princess. Despite her success, Rita's later years were overshadowed by health challenges, including early-onset Alzheimer's disease, which was misdiagnosed for years. Her story is a poignant reminder of the sacrifices demanded by Hollywood's golden age, where reinvention often came at the cost of authenticity. Peter Lorre. Peter Lorre's life was as enigmatic as the characters he portrayed. Born Laszlo Löwenstein in the early 1900s in what is now Slovakia, he was the son of Jewish parents in the Austro-Hungarian Empire. His early years were marked by tragedy, as his mother passed away when he was a child, leaving a void that would shape his life. Laszlo reinvented himself as Peter Lorre, a name that would become synonymous with sinister yet magnetic roles. His breakout performance in the German film M as a child murderer was so chilling that it haunted him for the rest of his career. Fleeing Europe in the 1930s as the Nazi regime rose to power, Peter found refuge in Hollywood, but his Jewish heritage and thick accent limited him to playing villains and outsiders. Despite his success in films like The Maltese Falcon and Casablanca, he was often typecast, a fate he resented deeply. Behind the scenes, Peter struggled with health issues and personal demons, including a dependency on painkillers. His story is a haunting reflection of how Hollywood's golden age often confined actors to the roles their appearances dictated, even as they carried the weight of their own complex histories. John Garfield. John Garfield was Hollywood's original rebel, a man whose life and career were shaped by his working-class roots and unrelenting ambition. Born Jacob Julius Garfinkel in New York City in the early 1900s, he was the son of Jewish immigrants from Eastern Europe. His childhood was marked by poverty and loss, as his mother died when he was young, leaving his father to raise him in the tough streets of Manhattan's Lower East Side. Jacob's natural talent for acting was discovered in a school for troubled boys, setting him on a path to stardom. Rebranding himself as John Garfield, he became one of the first actors to bring method acting to Hollywood, delivering raw, emotionally charged performances in films like The Postman Always Rings Twice and Body and Soul. Yet his career was cut short by political persecution. During the Red Scare of the 1940s and 1950s, John was blacklisted for his alleged ties to communist organizations, a claim he vehemently denied. The stress of the accusations and the loss of work took a toll on his health, leading to his untimely death in the early 1950s. John's story is a powerful reminder of how fear in politics can destroy even the brightest stars. Barbara Stanwyck. Barbara Stanwyck's rise to fame was a testament to her resilience and determination. Born Ruby Catherine Stevens in Brooklyn, New York in the early 1900s, she was the daughter of working-class parents of English and Scottish descent. Tragedy struck early in her life when her mother died in a streetcar accident, and her father abandoned the family shortly after. Ruby grew up in foster homes, working odd jobs to survive before finding her way to the stage. Reinventing herself as Barbara Stanwyck, she became one of Hollywood's most versatile actresses, known for her roles in films like Double Indemnity and Stella Dallas. Despite her success, Barbara's personal life was marked by heartbreak. Her marriage to actor Frank Fay was tumultuous, and her later relationships were equally fraught. She also faced criticism for her political conservatism during a time when Hollywood was deeply divided. Barbara's story is one of grit and transformation, a woman who overcame unimaginable odds to become one of the most respected actresses of her time. Her legacy endures as a symbol of strength and adaptability in an industry that often demanded both. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment. Also, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell to get notified of our newest videos. Thanks for watching.